Hello and welcome. This is Teresa from Teresa's Crafty Cabana. Today I'm going to be showing you 4 projects. If you saw this video that I made most recently, I did a stencil review for PM Artist Studios, and they had sent me some stencils to try out. The prints that I have, if you're interested to see how I made the prints, I will link the video. For the projects, I am just kind of gathering my supplies here. I'm measuring out my card bases, the slimline, the A2, and then I'm going to make 2 tags. These tags are made out of a really thick cover board cardstock, so it's very rigid. I'll link in the description which paper I used. I got it on Amazon. I have my crocodile circle punch, and I also used my crocodile corner punch to make the edges of the tag. My inspiration for these projects are going to be Valentine / love. I'm measuring here to just get the center of the tag where it's 1.5 for that hole. And then this is how I can make custom sized tags. So I went ahead and did the same thing for the other tag and made them look the exact same, so they're the same size. And I punched the hole in the exact same spot, using one as the template over the other. So now that I've finished the base of my projects, I'm going to show you what supplies I'm using for this project tutorial. I'm using some distress inks, the same inks I used on my gel prints. I'm using some crafter square that's from Dollar Tree. I've got some stamps, some border dies, some heart dies. I've got Hampton art. These are just kind of words, text, and some florals. I've got Spellbinders, some floral die cuts, some words from Spellbinders, and a Tim Holtz letter set, and some borders to create some interesting edges to my projects. I'm going to begin with my A2 card that I'm going to make. I really loved this watercolor print that I had made, and I knew I wanted to make a card with that from the very beginning. So that was the one that I started with. I took out these heart dies from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to just cut out a heart in the middle there, and that'll create an opening. I am going to hold on to this little die cut heart, and I'll probably use that in one of my other projects. So I'll set that off to the side. Now I've wanted to go through my prints to see what I might put behind this heart, just to give it some contrast or interest. I have this one that has the pink, purple, and blue ombre with the stripes, the chaotic mesh, I believe is the name of this stencil. And just kind of moving it around to see if I like this one as a background. I didn't mind it, but I wanted something a little more subtle in the back. So I came across this one that I had done with the ghost print of the perfect pearls. It looks a little bit dirty or messy, but I thought that might be a nice one to have behind the heart here, because at an angle you can see the perfect pearls kind of shine through. So I did like that. I'm going to go ahead and cut that piece down and just size it so that it fits right behind that heart print. As I'm looking at this, I'm thinking what I want to do next with it. I thought it would be kind of cool to make it a shaker card, but I like using tulle for my shaker card instead of the plastic film, only because the plastic film is so staticky that I always find the sequins stick to it. So I'm just cutting down this tulle. This is also from Dollar Tree in their crafter square section. I think it's like a fabric roll that I got, so I just kind of cut it down to fit around the frame. Then I'm going to glue the tulle around the heart. And you don't have to be very precise at this point. We will be using some foam tape to give that dimension and make sure the sequins can move around. So for this part, it's just making sure that the mesh or the tulle is kind of just sticking to the base of the cardstock here. Now I'm going to outline the heart shape with this foam tape that I also got from Dollar Tree. It's very sticky, but this will give it a little bit of that dimension needed to shake around the card. The last piece I put in was just a little bit too small, so I had to cut one more tiny piece just to fit right in between there. You don't want to have any holes in this technique only because those sequins would fall right through. Now I've got to glue down this little background piece to my card. Because it doesn't take up the whole background, I kind of lined up my heart next to it so I knew where I needed to put my background design. Now I did remove the stickiness to my foam tape, so I'm not pressing down here. I'm just kind of outlining it so I know where I need to put my sequins. I do find it easier to put the sequins on the paper, and then since I can see through the heart, I will put that over the top of the sequins. I'm using a little bit of gold, and this has some hearts in it, and then the pink also has some hearts in it. The pink also has an iridescent holographic look to it, so they're very pretty and shiny. Once I've got the heart sealed, I'm going to just take a little more foam tape on the corners of the card and just kind of press those down. Alright, so we've got the base of this shaker card coming along. Now I need to put a little sentiment and some decoration on this. I've got this stamp set from Crafter Square Dollar Tree. I'm just gonna see, these are really cute. They look hand-drawn, like little doodles that you would do on your notebook or something. So I think these are so cute and whimsical. So I'm looking to see which one I want to put as my title for this card. I really like that I love you. I like the shading on it. It looked like it was a 3D kind of an I love you word set. So I thought that was really cute. I'm just using some of my VersaFine Onyx black ink. And that ink does well with watercoloring, which is what I'm going to do for this little piece to get some color in those words. Just putting some of my Distress Oxide on a glass mat, taking some water, and just doing a little bit of a watercolor technique to the letters. I am mimicking the colors on the card, so the colors on the card go ombre pink to purple to blue. So I'm going to do the same thing. The I will be pink, the purple will be the heart, and the U will be the blue. To make the purple, I'm just doing the same as I did on my Gelli plate, which was mixing the pink and the blue together. But before I do that, I wanted to have my solid colors down first. So I had my blue first, now I'm putting my solid pink down. And now I can mix the two. I'm kind of just going back and forth, adding a little of the blue, a little of the pink, until I get the right color of purple that I'm looking for. This isn't watercolor paper, this is just cardstock, 140-pound cardstock. So you do want to be careful when watercoloring that it doesn't start pilling. So you just don't want to go over the lines too much. For the outside part or the shadow part of the letters, I have this gold ink that I'm going to use just to give it some shine, and also there's some shine on the outside of the card base. I had put those stars as gold, so I wanted this to kind of match that. I'm trying not to go too heavy so that you can still see those lines through this gold paint or ink. Then I'm going to cut it down and measure it to my card to see where I want it. I realized I wanted it a little bit closer, so I'm going to do a little bit of just cutting right up against the design. And I like that. The colors, they look great because they're the same colors that I used. I'm going to give it some dimension with some foam tape. And then just press that down. And I like how it looks. I did feel like the heart looked a little bit bare, like it needed something, some kind of a border. You can see the gold from the letters and the gold from the stars. So it gave me the idea to maybe make a gel print with just that gold paint that I had used on the stars. So I'm just going to use a full-size print here. One of the ideas I was playing around with was some kind of a border die around the heart. I didn't have a heart-shaped border die, so I thought with the straight edge border dies that I have, I'm going to use one of my thinner ones, and then I'm going to kind of make a ruffle, and then that ruffle I can kind of make it fit around the heart shape. Once I pulled this gold print and I had a nice amount of gold on this print, I realized I could use this for some of my other projects too. So that's kind of what I'm going to use in each of my projects to give them some cohesiveness. So these border dies, I'm just taking this real thin one, and it has a nice little ruffle at the end. I cut that down. And then I need to make sure that it's thin enough to go next to the heart. So I'm just going to trim off this edge part here. Cutting off all the white parts so that I just have gold. And then this was the idea I had, was just to kind of fold this little ruffle, create little pleats, just by kind of folding it back and forth. And then that way I was able to shape it into the circle part of the heart shape. So I'm just going to make the rest of my ruffle here. I'm just folding back and forth, but every time I do, I leave some out a little bit and I go in a little bit so that you're able to see the ruffle. If you do a just back and forth on top of it itself, then you're making more like a pinwheel. So I had to just make sure I was leaving some of my ruffle out as I was doing this. I wasn't squeezing down too hard either. On some of them I was squeezing a little harder, and others I was just kind of folding the paper and bending it. I'm just kind of experimenting here. I don't really know if, at this point, I didn't know if this was going to work or not. So I feel like that was a pretty good ruffling. Trim down my edge piece, and then I'm just going to start gluing it down, starting with the top center of the heart. And then I'll just put some glue down and just keep following the edge of the heart shape. As I was doing this, you want to be careful not to pull too straight because you'll undo the pleat, but you also want to not pleat too much because then it won't be long enough. So I was doing a little bit of stretching and squishing, and then a little bit of just pressing down onto the glue dots that I had put down. And here I'm just kind of squishing the pleats and pressing them down. I did cut another one of these strips because I ran out on this first strip. And here at the top of the heart, I had to use a little more glue just to help with those pleats. So I've got my next one, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to fold out my pleats first. Then I'm going to trim it down a little and then just glue it in place right behind the first piece that I'd finished. It's a little tricky on the little corner angle here, so I just had to loosen up the pleat a little in those areas right where that corner part was. But I did find it went around the corner pretty nicely as long as I had a little pleat going to cover it up. I only needed 2 of these strips to go all the way around the heart. And now I have a cute little border to my heart shape, and I think it looks cute. For the inside of the card, I did want to use some of those stamps and some of the distress inks to pull it all together. I had the pink for the love, and then I kind of did a little bit of dabbing with the red just to give it some interest. And then I've got this cool layered heart look stamp, and I'm going to use the pink and then the red along the edges of it, just kind of dabbing just to give it a little bit of some added interest. I'm going to stamp 3 of these hearts. And I have this kiss word that I'll put with my blues. So I'm going to do the salvage patina and use the peacock feathers to give it a little bit of dimension right at the bottom of the letters. All right, so that finishes out this A2 card. It's a very fun. I love this one. Of course, the shaker card is always fun to do. Next, we're going to work on our 2 tags. I had pulled out these 2 prints. They were similar but different, but I thought both of them would make a great tag. And then I thought I should cut out with that gold, cut out some of these florals from the Spellbinders die cut set. And now I'm going to measure out where I want my tag to be on this background and just kind of cut around it. Because these tags are so sturdy, they make a great template to cut around. Then I just needed to cut my hole. So I used a pencil, a colored pencil, just to create that circle so I knew where to punch. And there it lines up nicely. I wanted to do a little decorative edge, so I used one of those border dies and just cut out the frills on the bottom. For the design on this one, I had cut out these hearts and used my distress inks to just kind of blend out the heart shape onto the background. I started with my salvage patina. It didn't show up very well, it was very light. So I went in with my lumberjack plaid, the red, to make more of like a purple color. And that looked a little bit better. It was still pretty light, so I decided to go in with my colored pencils and just do a little bit of coloring along the edges and giving it some dimension with my 2 pink colors that I picked out. I still wanted to see the gel print in the background with those word text from the Poetic Poems stencil, so I was being careful not to press too hard so that you could still see through. And I think that looks really nice. It's just a subtle heart right in the middle. For the word on this one, I'm going to use this love that looks like it was hand drawn with some cute little dashes on the ends. Just centering that right over my heart. I love it. It looks so cute. I wanted to use some words or designs from this stamp set. The words weren't going to fit, so I decided to use the little florals on there instead. Just measuring it right next to my words and making it look like the flowers are kind of coming out of the words. And I have this other flower that I'm going to make it look like it's coming from the bottom. So I think that's looking really cute. Next, I'm going to take all my little floral die cuts that I had cut out of the gold. I layered them off camera, and now I'm just I figured out where I wanted them, so now I just have to kind of glue them all on. Some of them I'm going to glue flat to the tag, and others I'm going to use some dimension foam tape. But first I wanted to glue my background to the tag. If you're new to my channel, thank you for stopping by and checking out my videos. I also encourage you to check out PM Artist Studios. Their website is so impressive with all of the stencils and the stamps that they have to offer, and their designers are so cool. Some of their designers also have YouTube pages, so I think it's just so great, the community that they've built at their YouTube channel and on their Facebook page. They have Mixed Media Artist Facebook community. So I would just highly encourage you, if you're looking for a really cool community of artists and crafters, to check them out. I'll link some links in the description box below. But if you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up, a like, and subscribe if you haven't already, just so it puts it out there for other crafters like you that might be enjoying this content or maybe haven't seen this content yet. So I'm still obviously trying to grow my channel, and I am so thankful for PM Artist Studio for reaching out to me and just kind of connecting me with these new members. So if you're one of the new members from PM Artist Studios, thank you for being here and welcome. And hopefully I'm doing them justice with their stencils. They have such cool designs. So to finish off this tag, I am just using some of this gold and white twine now that I have all of the little pieces glued on. Then I'll move on to my second tag. I already cut out my background piece and did my little hole punch on it. For this one, the bottom decorative border, I decided to use a little cloud shape. This is also from Dollar Tree. Anytime I can find die cuts from Dollar Tree, I'm always so excited. I don't know, their die cuts are always so unique. They're not like ones that I really see at Michael's or Joann's or Hobby Lobby, so I always snatch those up, because also at Dollar Tree, if you don't grab it, it may not be there the next time and it may never come back. So if you ever do find some stamps that you love or some of these die cuts, I'd say grab them, because they are really cool. They work great and I haven't had any issues with them. To tie that heart in with the other projects, I did use some of that gold and just lined the heart. Now, using that gold piece of paper, I used these word die cuts and I cut out love note. And then that love background word text, I'm going to use just some gray archival ink called watering can. I'm just going to put that in the background. It looks like a dictionary text. I think it looks really cool. And the gray looked great because it wasn't too harsh on that nice soft background. I just glued my background to the tag. And then I had the leftover pieces from all those florals that I had cut out from the gold paper. I thought it actually looked so cool by itself, so I decided to use that almost like a banner or like a ribbon across my tag. I just glued the little pieces down, pressed them in so that they weren't going anywhere, and then I just cut the edges. For the love, I wanted to put that one inside the heart. So I just glued those using my wet glue. And then I had already put some foam tape behind my heart, and then I'm going to apply that to my background. Then I wanted to add note on the bottom over the note part, the text. This tag was really nice, soft colors. It was very dreamy looking to me. I thought it was so cute. I used the same twine to create the rest of this tag and finish this one out. All the little gold touches looked really nice. Next, I really wanted to use my Perfect Pearl background. It was a little more bold than the other colors I'd been using because of the black in there, but I went ahead and cut it down. I wanted to have the text going the right way, and I wanted to have my slimline card at a horizontal display. So I just cut my background in half, lined them up next to each other. I used this washi tape, and since the bottom parts weren't very even, I used this little border piece just to cut the bottom out. And then this way I had a nice decorative edge, and I had the two pieces kind of working together. You could see where that line was separating the two pieces. To tie that together just a little bit, I used some more of that gold frilly border and just kind of cut that down. I didn't have a long enough piece, so I did have to glue over itself just to create a longer border. I glued these two pieces together, the purple and the blue part that kind of went together, and just glued on this last little gold strip here. Once I felt like this gold strip was adhered pretty nicely, I did have to wiggle it around a little bit because I was trying to make it as straight as possible. Then I just trimmed the edges. And then that will fit perfectly inside my slimline card base. I also wanted to use the scraps of my little floral prints that I had done. So one of the floral cutouts I had used for the strip on the tag. The rest of them, I took my heart shapes and I just kind of cut where I could. They didn't always cut like a whole heart shape, but I wanted to put them over these pink hearts that I had made. And then this kind of tied them together with the gold, and then it also gave interest to the hearts. I thought they looked so cool like this. Plus it was repurposing and using up as much of my scraps as I could. So if you're looking for a unique way to dress up your die cuts, I think this is really fun. Then I'm just gonna glue them, and those are all copy paper. Just gluing those to my little cardstock. I had used 140-pound cardstock for the pink hearts that I colored in, and then the gold part on top is just the copy paper. So it also gives it a little more stability. Now I'm just trying to figure out my composition. The words were getting a little lost for me, so I created some words out of black cardstock. Just cut the same letters out again to spell love, and now I'm layering them up to make them look like they have a shadow. I'm going to start by gluing my card base down. I didn't end up putting any glue on the decorative edge. I was okay with that one having a little bit of dimension just kind of hanging off. And then I came up with this composition of spreading my letters out to spell out love. The O is really close to where the transition of the two papers are. So I thought that that would kind of help to cover it up a little. But then I thought I could even use that to my advantage here and put the heart inside of the O, build on it with the other two hearts, and then just put the last heart a little over to the right. Then I use my glossy accents and put down one little dot of glue, and I'm using just some of those pink hearts from the sequin set that I have. I think sequins look really cool with glossy accents on top, so I just put a dab of glossy accents over those hearts, and it gives it a lot of dimension. One last thing, I wanted to put a little stamping inside of the card. So these are also from the Dollar Tree stamp set. There's this little vase with the heart and the little florals sticking out. I wanted a little pink, so I used the two hearts with the arrow. I'm just using the darker pink on the arrow part. And then I decided to use my red to put this word love right by those two hearts. And that completes my card. So it has that really nice perfect pearl shimmer in the background. I think it looks really cool, and the stamping inside. And then here's my tag with the really soft colors, love note. Then I have my tag that just says love with the gold florals. And my A2 card that says I love you with the shaker card, the little fringe border to the heart. You can see how the perfect pearl in the background picks up the light just a little bit, which I think looks lovely. And then a little bit of stamping on the inside. So those finish out my 4 projects today using the prints I had made from the PM Artist Studio stencils. Again, I love those stencils. I'm so excited to have found them, and I hope you give them a try and let me know what your comments are. If you had any stencil ideas from this video, or if you had any other ways that you would use those prints that I had made, what would you make? Well, thanks for being here and for coming along for this ride, this crafty journey with me, and I will see you in the next video. Happy crafting!